putting on my game face.
Okay, so we are live again. So hello everyone, welcome back to the Grafana Campfire Community call for the August month or the August edition. And today we have something really amazing. I really don't want to spoil this one because this is one of my favorites actually. This is something we were working behind the scenes and we recently launched it at GrafanaCon. So the topic is about the Grafana Drilldown Apps. And today we have some amazing experts. I will first introduce the one who is only for this session, which is Andrew Stucky. He works on the Grafana Drilldown Apps and also Galen. And before introducing others, I will first introduce myself and will pass along to others. So my name is Usman, and I work in the Grafana DevRel team. And I also do these campfire calls with Matt and Carl. Today we don't have David, who is also our regular. But that's all from my side, and I will pass to Matt.
Yeah, thank you. I worked a bit on these projects, these drill down apps, with this fantastic team that we have. I'm still equally excited by this, and I think it was a big leap in what we were doing here from that user experience point of view, and people love it still. So I'm excited as well to dig into it, and I've got some tough questions as well. I'm going to be tough on this to try and be hardball. Carl's also here, aren't you, Carl?
I am. So my name is Carl Bergquist. I'm one of those senior OGs Grafanistas. I've been at Grafana forever. I have not worked on Drilldowns, but I have used Drilldowns a lot, and I love the feature. I think it's definitely one of the major innovations we had in Grafana, where we had dashboards and data sources forever, and then we just figure out like we need to take multiple steps ahead of the old contract that we have and like really use what Prometheus, Loki have available and build smarter opinionated solutions. I think that was a great step for us.
Mm. And you really have been here so long, so much that anytime they show like internally on slides or whatever, they show like old company photos. I play a game called Find the Carl, and it's as quickly as I can to try and find you in the photos because you're basically in all the photos. It's like Where's Waldo or Where's Wally. It's really fun, so I recommend it. It's easy on this episode, but...
So that's my DMs. DMs with Matt Ryer is just images of me.
Where I found the Carl. Yeah. No, yeah. I recommend it, though. Great game.
Fun game, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of like the drill down, really. You go from the high-level overview. You got to dig in. You know, I'm zooming around. So it is appropriate and very well, I think, placed.
Yeah, that didn't feel forced at all. No.
Yeah, it's not forced, is it? It's good. I like how natural this is. Okay.
Yeah.
So...
Andrew, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Happy to. Yeah, so I did indeed work with Matt, and I do work with Galen. Matt was kind of like our backseat vibe coder while he was with us.
None taken. Never mind my career. Go on. What were you saying?
Yeah, so I'm Andrew. I lead the drill down group, and I get to work with a bunch of wonderful engineers that are very passionate about, metrics, logs, traces, and profiles. And they've brought all of their opinions together to bring us the drill down apps. And by the way, we also own the Explore feature still. So like the same group owns both Explore and drill down, which is pretty neat. We'll get into more of that later. Galen, introduce yourself.
Howdy, folks. I'm like Andrew said, I'm Galen. I'm on the log squad. I'm working primarily on the logs drill down experience, and yeah, doing that since the onset. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, kind of changing the way that people get to interact with their Loki data sources.
Mm.
Nice. So let's talk about like what was before drill down. Maybe we can have some background of it.
Yeah, what was before drill down? Do you remember? I don't know. Matt, do you remember what was before drill down?
Yes, it was a lot of you really have to write the queries yourself. That was really it. And people would learn, they learn PromQL, learn LogQL, these different query languages. And I would always I kind of had enough to be able to do basic things, but every time I needed to do something more advanced, I'd have to learn it essentially. And yeah, so that's kind of a challenge. And I think for a lot of people, if you're using it every day, it makes sense. You're going to learn these tools. They're so powerful, and you can do so much with them. But if you're, say you're an engineer and you're only dipping even occasionally into the observability data, you don't really have that incentive to properly learn the query language so that you can be really advanced at it. And so it ends up being spend quite a lot of time trying to get the answers that you need, or often be like bug somebody else who knows better, usually Cyril or someone who's been doing it a lot longer. Yeah.
Having to learn query languages during an incident is not a fun experience, and freeing people from that feels good.
Yeah, it's like an escape room. It's like you've got to figure out where the hieroglyphs are, and then you line it up, then you've got to go upstairs and get a clue, and then come down and pick a card, and if it's red, then the door opens. It's that kind of thing.
But it's even worse because like the first time you go to the room's empty. Because like you would drop in to explore and there would be nothing there. It's just a blank page. You're like, this is great. What do I do next?
Yeah. And it did advance. It did evolve because there's like query builders, the UI that guides you into building queries. And I found that useful, but you're still thinking about the query. And if you want to learn the query and how to write these queries, then it's actually quite useful to be able to do that. Drilldown Apps just completely takes away any need to even know about a query altogether, doesn't it?
Yeah. And not only does it take away needing to know how to make or form a query, but I think the part that was most exciting to me was that we let the data drive your next decision. So you get to see data immediately, and then you can spot an anomaly and decide whether or not you want to drill into the next level. Where I feel like if you're writing queries, you have to figure out like the highest level query to write, then tweak it, write the next query. And so it's not just one query you ended up writing. You ended up needing to write a bunch. And I think that was like a compounding effect.
Yeah, I feel like we should have a look at the Drilldown app just to get everyone up to speed on this. How about we do that, Galen, and you give us an overview?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, taking a look at logs drilldown for the Loki data source. So yeah, basically the landing page, instead of that empty, scary query interface that Andrew was talking about, we just break things down primarily starting by service name, which is pretty common, but also if you want to take a look at cluster namespace or whatever your primary labels are for your data source, you can go ahead and do that. Yeah, so once you kind of identify the service that you think is misbehaving or you got alerted on, go ahead and dive in. You can either, if you're already ready to start debugging, you can jump right into your logs. Maybe you want to just start by filtering out everything other than errors. And again, if you're maybe for smaller data sets, you might be ready to look at your logs already, but it's always a good idea to kind of try to remove any sort of extraneous information. So let's say, all right, we know that this is only a problem in production, so let's go ahead, filter out any dev and other environments there. And let's say from there, this is all automatically generated data, so it's kind of hard to simulate like an actual incident, but you can dive into the individual fields that are being extracted out of your logs and kind of get a more robust understanding of maybe what is there a pod that's sending off a whole bunch more logs than the others. Something looks weird that you want to continue to drill your query down. And then from there, you might say, okay, now I'm ready. Looks like this is a service that has JSON logs. We actually just rolled out a new JSON visualization, which is going to be released GA probably next week.
Nice.
Supposedly, if everything goes well. And that's kind of neat because when you're looking at the logs, sometimes there's an overwhelming amount of JSON, which is kind of hard to deal with. And the JSON viz is kind of special in the way that you can filter out, drill down into very specific chunks of your JSON structure to debug there. Also, what's kind of neat is you can filter by the JSON structure. So if you say, oh, okay, I only want to see logs that contain this deeply nested object, you can go ahead and do that. Whereas before, that would require some pretty complicated logQL and some poking and prodding that no one wants to do, especially when you're trying to respond quickly to an incident.
Yeah. So could you go to that labels tab again? Because this is like, so like, you don't really do anything special for this, do you? You just basically put in your logs into Loki, and then you get this experience. And how is this built? How does it decide what it's going to show on this page, for example, or the fields page?
It's just so whatever the labels, which are kind of like the index in Loki. So however those are instrumented, they'll automatically get pulled into these tabs here. And then the fields are kind of less to do with your instrumentation and more to what's on the actual log lines that get ingested. So whatever fields, maybe actually the table makes it easier to just kind of see. Of all of the log lines that are ingested on this set of labels, like the whatever key value pairs that are in those objects just automatically get extracted. And in the fields tab, we're just showing you the count of the logs that have that particular label name. And then from there, if you want to dive more into values, you can break things out more and see if there's any anomalies there as well.
So if there was like a DDoS attack, let's say, and it was coming from a particular, like it had a particular property in it, like, the same number of bytes or something, you would see in this kind of view, you see it stand out, don't you? There's like a big spike that's just very clear.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if one of your pods, is getting hit with way more traffic, and it was emitting logs at a greater rate, it would stand out here. You could sort by count, or the most relevant here kind of does some ML magic to pull things that have the more anomalous data to the top. But so that's kind of a way to quickly kind of spot, again, anomalies or things that might be unexpected. And then from there, you can, drill down and kind of get a smaller set of logs to deal with, which will maybe help you figure out how to fix the actual problem.
Yeah, it's so good, isn't it?
And Galen, can you please show the audience like how they can find this Drilldown app if they're using Grafana?
Oh yeah, so obviously, in the kind of the Grafana menu here, we added a couple versions ago a new top level section called Drilldown. There's kind of a landing page there for all of the apps that are installed, where you'll see the links to logs, metrics, traces, profiles, apps in there. Also, there are some other neat ways that you can do this as well. So let's say, imagine I'm coming. Oh, nope, I can't do new tabs. Sorry, folks. Bear with me. So let's say maybe you are in a dashboard. Oh, no, this is play. It won't let me do that. Well, we'll just assume that Explore will work. But you're writing your query manually, or you're coming from a dashboard. You can kind of do the reverse operation where you say, okay, I want to go to drill down for a given query, and it'll populate those fields here. And you can always do the opposite situation as well, where if you're in drill down and maybe you're ready to take that to Explore to kind of tweak that query or to add it to a dashboard, for every single panel in logs drill down, you can always pull the ripcord and then go to Explore and go back. So it should be pretty easy jumping around back and forth.
Yeah. And to the folks, Grafana Drilldown Apps is now available in all Grafana flavors. Like if you're using maybe on Kubernetes or maybe using the Docker image, you should find a Grafana drill down if you're using the latest version of Grafana. If not, then please update it, because then you're missing a bunch of new features which we recently just released.
Yeah, this is very cool. Can we also look at the patterns? Because I think that each drill down app also has its own particular flavor, because they're all this kind of idea, aren't they, where you see the top level thing and you can spot from that interesting areas to drill into. But they also have their own unique little bits and pieces that are specific to that signal, don't they?
Yeah. So yeah, patterns, is very cool, very powerful feature available in the logs drill down. So basically, Loki will go through all your logs and kind of figure out the bits that change and kind of group them into kind of things that are more similar. So in this particular service, you can see that, all right, there's lots of logs, that info logs coming from this flush.go file with this message. And then the only thing that really changes is the timestamp and the user ID and the block ID. So it allows you to quickly, I mean, this is kind of, again, a situation where everything is behaving as expected. But again, if we had like a DDoS, like Matt said earlier, or something else, you'd see a big spike of maybe, or a pattern that didn't exist before in the past, and it's suddenly there, would kind of be a real good signal that, oh, okay, hold on. Something unexpected is happening in my infrastructure. So you can quickly kind of say, okay, well, let's pretend that this one had a big spike or it didn't exist before. You can just go ahead and include that pattern. And now all of the logs that you see are going to be much more consistent, coming from matching exactly that pattern.
Yeah, it's fast as well, isn't it?
It's pretty cool.
Andrew, this essentially is writing the queries on your behalf, and each little panel has its own query. Is that not just the equivalent of kind of DDoSing the database?
100%.
How did they take that?
At first, not so great. And it's funny when you look at where queries are coming from. So we have a couple of internal dashboards where we can check query percentage, like how many of these are queries coming from dashboards, from Explore, from Drilldown. And Drilldown, in most cases, makes up for more than 50% of all queries made. Not only because they're popular, but also because they happen to just like slam the database with queries.
But the team responded to that challenge very well, and
exactly.
they're sort of adapting and evolving the backend also to support this kind of experience. And I think that's just kind of great. And I just think it makes such a big difference. Before, you'd have to know what query to do to even get something that showed a spike. So you kind of already have to know what the problem is to some extent. Or at least you're going to be exploring and trying lots of different things to look around. Unless you've had that problem before, of course, and you've got your alerts all set up and everything, your dashboards. But yeah, just the fact that this presents the data for you, and I don't know, something about that makes that experience is just a lot easier to deal with for me, more visual, I guess.
Yeah, same for me. Like I can share my experience. Like I do a lot of testing on my local machine, and every time before drill down, I have to like at least copy paste or remember some query and then create a dashboard. This is a unique way. Like you don't need to really remember anything. Like if you have a configuration all set and you just go to the drill down, it will give you the most like basic metrics or the logs or whatever you have defined beyond maybe traces or profile. You can get it at instance. So this saves a lot of time. Like for me, if I'm developing something, I can cut my time and start seeing the results which I need to. So really helpful.
Yeah, I think not only did we want these experiences to be like custom built for each database, so they kind of are like superpowers for our databases, but also we wanted to have an app for each signal to meet people where they are at. Like personally, I'm most comfortable with logs and traces. So like if I'm trying to root cause something or diagnose an issue, like my first stop's probably going to be traces. If it's a system that has multiple services, or if it's just one service, I'm probably going to head into logs. But that's me personally. I know other people who are more comfortable with metrics. And so they're going to be most comfortable starting in metrics to diagnose their issue. So by having these all as individual apps, wherever you are most comfortable, like that's where you should start. And we're getting better and better at connecting the experiences together. So if you were most comfortable with metrics and you found a metric that was anomalous, we have a related logs feature, which allows you to view log lines that are related to labels applied to this metric. So if this metric had a filter that was like checkout service, you would see all the logs for your checkout service as it relates to that. Or if you had a recording rule between Loki, you would see related metrics there as well, which is really neat.
Yeah, that is cool. And I suppose other signal too, like into traces from logs and things like this, if you see a trace ID and stuff like that.
And vice versa, yeah. From traces to logs and traces to profiles.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. John, are there any other like features? What's your favorite feature of this, Andrew?
Oh, my favorite feature?
Yeah.
Ooh, it's a new one, actually.
Ooh.
It's something I've wanted for a while. I don't know if we have it in this demo environment, but in Traces Drilldown, there is a new tab called Exceptions. So if you were to... Yep, I don't see it in this environment. But when you're looking at... Actually, select errors real quick. It might be here, because there are some errors. Yeah, there we go. It's detecting 0 exceptions, but there are errored traces. And I find sometimes errored traces are a bit overwhelming. There can be a lot of traces that are marked as errored. Like anyone can set the status to a trace to error for whatever reason at whatever point in their code. Right. Sometimes it's indicative of something, sometimes it's not. But exceptions, on the other hand, are quite clear that something has gone wrong. And this is when a trace span has an event that has an exception attached to it. And so, yeah, here's 46 that are on this one. So if you click exceptions, you'll see that this exception has been thrown 46 times. And the last exception...
China is not allowed?
I guess not.
What's that mean? What's that mean?
Did we block China from play?
Don't know.
I think this is more, automatically generated data.
That's probably true.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong? But I really love this feature because coming from a background in Java where exceptions are a really common pattern, I find this immensely helpful.
Yeah, I love that though, that these are it isn't like Explore is the advanced tool where you can query all this same kind of data, but these are practical, useful apps essentially built on top of that, right? So, and I love that we do that. But how do you decide like where to go? How do you decide what work to work on, what problems to solve?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, like, culturally, we are very experiment driven. And I think this comes with pros and cons. But the pros are that we try a lot of things. We make a lot of bets. And we know going into implementing an idea that it might not work out. And that's okay. Like, we've built this culture of safety and trust that it's all right to deprecate a feature that wasn't successful. But I think that also means at some level you can't get too attached to your own ideas if they aren't successful. And we like hold successes up very high, and we get very excited when they are successful. But we have our failures too, and we also hold those high. We have deprecated a lot of features, and actually we deprecated a feature in Traces Drilldown. If you close the trace view here, you see the drop down next to all spans. There's like root spans, all spans, and then there's that drop down. This is called the primary signal. And this was initially more kind of tabs along the top, but it made that bar quite long. And we didn't think people were using these other primary signal filters. So we removed it. And about a week later, we got a bunch of people reaching out saying, hey, where'd the primary signal go? We really loved this feature. So it was like, we thought people weren't using it. We deprecated it. And turns out like people did find a lot of value there. We were just trying to make the UI more simple, more straightforward. And in the process, we removed something that a lot of people were using. But we heard that feedback and we re-added it. So you can still filter by, database traces or whatever it is that you want to look at.
Yeah, but I think your point is such a good one that it's okay to fail, because if you don't have that as part of the culture, it means basically people have to just get it right the first time, and they can spend so much time trying to make sure you don't make a mistake that actually it's quicker sometimes to just build a few versions of things and try it and get it out. Yeah. But that's interesting. So it is worth sending in feedback then, because you're listening to what people say.
We read every single piece of feedback that we receive, and we act on all of them.
Have you ever had any brutal feedback?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I suppose it's the internet.
There've been a couple where it's like, why can't I write a query in Drilldown? And like, to some extent, I think this comes out of fear that maybe we'll deprecate Explore one day, but that's never been our goal. I think Explore and Drilldown will continue to coexist for a long time. Explore will be always the place where you can manually write a query. And it's also the big tent area for Grafana. Like these Drilldown apps were only ever designed for our databases, for Mimir, Prometheus, Loki, Tempo, and Pyroscope. But if you have any of the other hundreds of data sources that we offer, like you're going to interact with those through Explore. So Explore isn't going anywhere. And that was also one of the reasons behind our rename to Drilldown. Because if you remember, like these were originally the Explore apps. We called them Explore Logs, Explore Metrics. And that was kind of confusing for folks too, because I think people...
Yeah, it definitely confused, because it sounded like, oh, Explore is evolving, and then the name was changed, and then it makes more clarity that we have a dedicated Drilldown app for our own data sources.
Exactly. And it was confusing when we were talking to people, asking them like, hey, have you seen the new Explore apps? And they were like, oh, I don't want to write a query. We're like, well, I don't think you're getting it. Like the Explore apps are totally different. It was a pain I think we all felt. It made so much sense at the time. I think this is also one of like coming back to how we work internally by moving quickly and trying things. Like we didn't want to get hung up. We joke that as programmers, naming things is the hardest part of the job, and that is largely true. So we were like, all right, let's not worry too much about the name. Let's just ship these awesome features and figure out the name later.
Yeah.
And I think I see somewhere, like we see on the screen, histogram by duration. Was there also like a heat map panel already integrated in Drilldown? Or maybe my eyes were playing lies.
Yes, we do. We have native histograms implemented in metrics for Mimir, which is pretty neat.
What is that?
So Prometheus has the ability to render regular histograms, but the architecture never delivered super high fidelity at performance. So the Prometheus team had been working on these higher powered histograms that were kind of native to the Prometheus architecture, and I think it was a multi-year effort. One of those things where you have to convince a lot of people this is the right idea and agree on the ideal architecture. But once it was delivered, it's pretty neat. It definitely is more efficient, more cost effective, and provides higher fidelity when you're looking at a histogram.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, very cool.
I saw some right there. I don't think they're native histograms, but they are, they are histograms nonetheless.
It looks nice as well, doesn't it?
It does.
Like it's very visually pleasing for some reason. How many how many different versions of like columns did you experiment with?
All of the options.
Yeah, I like this. I feel like you got it right for sure.
I think,
and
I hope so.
Yeah, sorry. And it only queries when you look at the panels too, right? So
Correct.
even though it can be lots in there in that initial view, as you scroll down, it's
It'll lazy load more as you go.
It's quick.
It's fast. Yeah.
Carl, you can write queries, can't you? You've been at Grafana for so long.
I'm fairly good at writing queries, yeah. I spend a lot of time in Explore, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah. I like this, though. I really like the fact that we can use our database's core capabilities more than Explore. And I like the click part of the UI, but I gotta admit that I spend more time in Explore, if anything.
Yeah, but I think that's if you are experienced, this isn't going to really replace that, because Explorer is always going to be more powerful, probably.
Yeah, and that's why I have gray hair and all these kind of things. Yeah.
But if you want to avoid grey hair and not get stressed out, Drilldown Apps.
Yeah. No, I'm really keen on these apps. I think they're very good.
Yeah, I know other people that use both. They'll start in the Drilldown apps and then they have their own workflows or whatever else that they're used to doing, and they can just always nip into Explore from here, like we showed the two-way movement.
And the mix, I can kind of see a need for that, where I start fiddle in classic Explorer and I kind of select the dimensions I care about, and from there I want to go to drill down into it, especially when it comes to logs. So it's kind of a starting point.
Yeah, can you always do that from Explore to logs? Because doesn't it? What if they write a query that you can't represent in a drill down app?
Oh, just the labels. Like the labels, I think you can always get in there, right? Because you choose your cluster, your machine, your node, your pod, not actual content.
Yeah.
This is a really good way of dealing with the content from that log output.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. And
can I ask you questions about the exceptions earlier? Can I see the rate per exception? So if there's a new kind of exception, I want to see that trending differently than others. Because there's always tend to be this like noisy level of exceptions, and that's fine, no one cares. But if a new exception spikes up, that's very relevant.
Yep. Yeah, it's very similar to patterns in the way where it's got the little frequency graph. So if you look here, expand the time out of it.
Oh, nice.
You can determine fairly easily, is this like a new exception? And this one looks like it's been around for a while. It's still firing, but it's probably not a new exception.
China's never been allowed.
Exactly, evidently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the spark line, by the way.
The spark line's great.
Yeah. This is shockingly useful, because you're right. Like if it starts suddenly or spikes suddenly, or maybe it did spike and it's fine now. Like you can just get all of that information at a glance. It's worth spending some time and thinking about what that spark line means, I think, to learn. But this is very good. And I suppose, I mean, the squads, the teams work like they deliver a lot of new features all the time, don't they?
Totally.
Should we have a little look at maybe what's new and what's coming soon? And
let's do it.
Talk a bit about that. That could be exciting.
I'm sure the list of what's new isn't all inclusive, and I really focused when putting this together on like basically the things that we've shipped in the last month or two mostly. So to give you an idea of what you'll be looking at in the what's new with Drilldown. Go ahead and can I move the slides? I can move the slides. Cool.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is good.
Professional.
Yeah. Worldwide, wide. At GrafanaCon, we announced that all of the Drilldown apps were generally available. I feel like it's good just to I love this visual because it shows what each app kind of looks like, and the fact that they are all generally available in both open source and in cloud. So basically everyone has access to this. If you're not using them yet, give them a go. as far as what's new, I've broken it down into each app. So we'll start with metrics and look at what we're doing there. One feature we built in metrics was the ability to look at individual panels and see where these metrics are being used. So you'll see a little count in the lower left-hand corner. In this case, this metric is being used in one dashboard, but we've seen cases where a metric is used in 8 or 20 dashboards. And at GrafanaCon, someone actually approached us and they requested this feature to be able to look at all the dashboards because they were going through a migration where they had a set of new metrics and old metrics. And they wanted to see where the old metrics were still being used so they could go deprecate or migrate those dashboards to use the new metric. So it was a pretty neat use case, and we were able to bring the feature to them.
Is there an API that lets you do that search then? How does that actually work?
Yeah, there is, I guess. Turns out. I didn't know one existed. We were like, this would be an awesome feature. Let's see if it's possible. And then we did a couple-day research spike and came back with, yeah, it is definitely possible.
All right, I need that API.
It's a good API, yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, by the way, you can also sort your metrics by dashboard usage, which is a pretty cool feature. So if you want to see most used metrics by dashboard usage, you can also sort there.
Is it also useful to know that this metric doesn't appear on any dashboards? Like this is not really being tracked or monitored? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, Matt Fine has done a shameless plug here. Just wants to say that Grafana meetup in Austin, Texas is coming, focused on the metrics Drilldown app in September. So shameless plug there, Matt. But I suppose it's fine, really.
Yeah, Matt actually is one of our Grafana champions user and is very active on our Grafana community. So yeah, he's very excited to host this meetup. So thanks, Matt, for sharing this here as well, so it can get more voice.
Yeah, and brilliant name, I think, has to be said. Is it a real name? Is that his real name, you think, or it seems fake, doesn't it?
It's fine.
It's fine.
It literally is.
Okay, Andrew, I do have a question. So the feature which you mentioned that you can see the dashboard uses like in the previous slide, is this feature also available on the Grafana OSS as well?
I believe so. I think most of the features we build are available in both locations. Both for open source users and for cloud users. We really try to make them as accessible as possible. And we put a lot of thought and care into that.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. We talked about this one briefly earlier, but the fact that you can, if you're looking at a metric, view its related logs. And I think this was one of those features where we thought about it, we thought it would be really neat, but we didn't know if folks would actually use it. And data tells us and that this is quite heavily used. So I like to show it off when I can, because I think it's a neat feature. There will be times when you're looking at a metric and there's 0 related logs as a result, because sometimes you'll be looking at a CPU metric from a node exporter, and that's not going to give you a ton of data because there aren't any logs to be linked to it. But when you have application specific logs, this is quite good at picking up, or application specific metrics and logs. It's pretty good at picking up the connection.
And how does that work? Do you have to do something special in your telemetry data?
This approach kind of naively assumes that your labels roughly match between metrics and logs. So there is some assumptions baked in, but even if you don't have labels that match, we have a heuristic that'll kind of go through and check some other things too, like are you using recording rules, recorded queries, like are there ways to connect your data otherwise? And a lot of times those measures work quite well as well.
And I see the button there, open in Logs Drilldown, so you can jump straight into the other app.
That's right.
This, which is cool. Yeah. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's one of those features that sort of feels like magic.
It does. When you're using it, it is pretty magical.
Yeah.
Next is what's new in Logs Drilldown. And we also touched a bit on some of these, but to call them out more specifically, we have a new logs panel. And the previous logs panel that we had was quite old. It had served us well. But as we grew with our customers and our customers' scale grew, our needs shifted a bit, and we needed something that was more performant. OTel is now a thing that wasn't around really when we built the old logs panel. So the two things we really wanted to solve here were like, do we have a platform we can build upon that makes reading OTel logs easier, and can we make it more performant in the process? And we were able to deliver. So you'll see this rolling out soon. It's already available for most cloud environments and will be coming to open source shortly, I believe.
This is cool. And just to let you know that our very own Sven loves the new logs panel. They say it's so fast.
So fast.
So there you go. Live review. Thank you, Sven. And hello. Brilliant.
Pairing with the logs panel, we have the JSON panel, and this is Galen's pride and joy. So maybe I'll let him talk about it for a second.
Is this your baby, Galen? Jason?
Yes, it is. So yeah, it's something. Yeah, we're planning on rolling out. Generally available in the next week or two. But yeah, basically, kind of again, just kind of another way of interacting with your JSON logs, allowing you to easily, quickly filter by JSON properties. And for heavily, deeply nested objects, it allows you to kind of trim out some of the noise and only visualize like certain subnodes of your JSON document without being kind of overwhelmed by everything. But yeah, so please, if you have JSON logs, I suggest you take a look at it and play around. And if you have any suggestions, feel free to, there's always that give feedback link in the top right. Otherwise, you can find us in the Logs Drilldown Slack channel in the community Slack, and also in the community forum. I think there's a category for Logs Drilldown, which we are watching carefully as well. So,
yeah. Well, we've already got your first review. Looks like it's a game changer for Matt Fine. Matt cannot wait to try it out. When can Matt try it?
Anytime now. It's been available experimentally for, I don't know, 3 months plus. And recently, yeah, we've kind of put a little polish on it and kind of worked on some optimization and some other things. But I can't remember the exact Grafana version. Probably 11.5, or maybe even 11.4. But you can be on 11.5 and still pull the latest version of Logs Drilldown as well. But if you just set things up back at 11.4, you probably have an older version of Logs Drilldown, but it should still have the JSON panel as well.
Maybe that's something to highlight, that we deploy the Drilldown apps independently from core Grafana. They kind of get bundled together. So if you download the open source version of Grafana, if you have an internet connection, they will get pre-installed. So it might be disingenuous to say like bundled. They're not in the same binary, but they get automatically installed in open source Grafana. And you can update the plugins independently of Grafana core, which is pretty neat.
If I understood correctly, like if I'm using the open source, I have to install as a part of data source or as a plugin to get it?
A plugin.
Okay, cool. Didn't know about it.
Yeah.
And actually, that was my question, because I see like we are implementing and creating like all these log panels. It seems now log Drilldown is also may have in future its own application, maybe a side application. Like we have apps right now, Drilldown apps, or maybe have log apps, because the implementation looks something right now already very advanced, but we probably may not want to complicate it as well. Is it true? Like maybe we go a little bit more beyond the Drilldown apps in future, for at least for the logs part. have its own dedicated logs app?
I think that's largely how we developed Logs Drilldown. I think we will probably go down the path of exposing more components that other apps can consume. So in Grafana, there's a concept of exposed components, which allow us to, like, as developers, expose a set of components that someone else could use in another application. And I think that's probably where we're headed, is we'll expose some of these base components we've used to build Logs Drilldown, all the Drilldown apps. That way, if you're an app developer, you can pull them into your own app if needed. And this has been kind of an instrumental shift for some of our features we've built in cloud, like Grafana Assistant, or our Ollie suite of products like Assert, Surf Front-End Observability, where they can use the superpower of Drilldown within their applications. So you'll see Drilldown in some of these log panels in more places.
Yeah, and Josiah Solomon loves this. So I love these live reviews. Just judging what Andrew's saying live. I love it.
So Josiah is also like one of our top contributor on the Grafana community, and he's also a Grafana champion. So he was speaking about this, I think, sometime in the past. So yeah, Josiah, see your wish come true.
Nice.
Back to what's new. Moving on to the next thing. This is also something I believe Galen worked on not too long ago. But one of the core theses of Drilldown was like, let the data drive your next decision. So you see the fields volume on the left, and this allows you to apply those fields labels to narrow the log lines that you see. And you visually get to look at which fields might have the most interesting data that you want to filter by. But there's also this use case where maybe these panels are very noisy, or you have a ton of different fields that you could filter from, and you don't want to scroll through a bunch of panels. There is now a toggle which lets you switch between viewing the volume histograms or switching over just to view the names of the fields to filter that way. And this is a bit more performant if you have a lot of fields.
Yeah. It's so fast.
So fast.
I'm really sorry, Carl. When we put these little banners up, it just completely covers your face, and I can't play Where's Carl?
I'm glad Carl's at the bottom and not me.
Can you try to put it again? I might maybe able to move the banner. Just highlight it again, Matt.
Okay, so fast.
No.
Sorry. I don't think you should move it. I think you should just leave it there. Sorry, Carl.
Yeah. I see. So this is cool. So this is literally faster, a lot faster, right? Yeah. So it's not. It doesn't have to go, and it doesn't hammer the database. So I bet the Loki team are fans of this one. I think
they love this tab. They love this. Yeah.
Yeah. Josiah says, Carl, have you considered a bigger head?
I can zoom in more, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time.
Next time. Brilliant. What's
Moving
on
on
traces, Andrew?
Traces, yeah. I mean, we kind of touched on some of these already, so I don't expect all of them to be super surprising, but we re-added the primary signal. And I think it makes sense if you think about how people want to filter their traces. If you want to look at spans that are only from your server, or only from an asynchronous consumer, or a database call, it's a powerful opinionated filter that you can apply.
And which one should you pick? Is it a case of you know because you know, or like how do you figure it out?
And I think that's why we originally simplified it and removed it, was because like maybe you want to look at all your spans or only your root spans to try to suss out what's going wrong. But I think when people have a hunch of what's going wrong and they're like, oh, I really think there's a slow database query happening here, they're going to want to filter and only see the database calls. Or if they know for a fact this is a server-side issue, they're going to look at server-specific traces or segments of those traces as opposed to front-end. So it really helps reduce some of the noise.
Yeah. Nice.
And then my favorite
Is it
feature.
fast, Andrew? Is it fast?
Yeah, I think anytime we can reduce the data and make it a little smaller, it's fast.
Great. Yeah, definitely.
My favorite feature, the exceptions tab, gets highlighted again.
It's very cool. And this error looks less problematic as well, which is quite nice.
It's a I This is actually from my own personal project that I have been running.
Also,
yeah. So this is my TV remote. When you press a button, it gets set up to tempo and also logs and metrics. So there was a problem I was having with my remote where when I turned the volume up, it's supposed to send a message to the TV to tell it the volume level. So it'll say like volume 27 dB, right?
Right.
And it would increment the volume on the receiver, but it wouldn't send the message back up to the TV telling me the current volume level. So I was using Trace's drill down to figure out what the issue was.
Or
Wow.
did you check the remote was not from the neighbor's house?
I hope they don't have the same remote as me.
Why? They're allowed to have that remote. It would be weird if their activity started showing up in here.
I think they'd have to steal the remote in order to have the remote.
Is it like a dev kit kind of remote? Or something?
Yeah, it's actually another open source project called Omote.
Yeah.
If you wanna Google it, it's pretty neat. So yeah, you can open source create your own remote.
Wow, well, that does sound fun. Fun.
Fun. If you're into that sort of thing.
And did you fix it then? Did you figure out what was up
I
with the
did.
volume?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that was really, really quick.
So
by the
fast.
sounds of it.
It was
So
only
fast.
fast because of Drilldown.
Right. Cool. And so but now you've got exceptions to worry about with your remote.
I know.
So what's the exception?
You could really I went too far with it,
Yeah. Good.
So moving on.
Andrew, yeah, do you know remote work? Do you know what this you know what that means, right, Andrew?
I don't know. Maybe I'll throw an exception.
Yep.
Thanks, man. Who knew I'd get heckled here?
I know. Yeah. This is actually I'm going to encourage this more. Live trolling of the guests. I feel like this is our angle. Usman.
Especially your
Think about
former
it.
manager. You no longer report to me, so it's free game, I suppose.
Yeah. Yes, Sven was, we should also say, instrumental in the building of the logs drill down also, right?
Yeah.
So
He also contributed to Loki to make some of these features possible. Cool.
Yeah, so that's cool. And that's an interesting point as well, because, people ask, why is it only your databases that you're building these for? Other tools in Grafana are big tent. But it really is about that, isn't it? It's because you need specific things to change sometimes in the back end in order to be able to deliver these. Do you see a future where there might be other apps?
No, probably not. I mean, there's definitely a possibility, but I feel like they would have to be built specific to that database. If you try to build some generic abstraction that works for all logs data sources, you end up building for the lowest common denominator, which is really painful.
SQL.
Ooh.
What could go wrong?
Yeah. It's almost like a mic drop there, but
Yeah,
I suppose it'd be
yeah.
a table drop.
It will drop.
That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a good joke, wasn't it, everyone? What do you think, Sven? Yeah, it was very fast. Thank you, Sven. Okay, what about profiles? Is anything new in that, or just keeping it as it is?
It's so fast. It helps you. Where's the comment?
So fast.
So fast.
Figures out how to make things fast, if not.
Yeah,
That's true. This is how you make things fast.
it's true. So profiles has been in this place where it been very stable and solves most of the use cases for our users already. But there's a couple nice things we've been looking to add, and one of them is the ability to create recording rules from profiles. And so that's a new feature that's been added. And this is kind of the groundwork for computing metrics from your profiles, alerting on profiles. So if something was previously working quite fast and is no longer working quickly, is no longer so fast, you could alert on it, which is pretty neat.
Very cool.
And I think that's the end of the slides. That's the roundup. I'm sure I missed a thing here or there, but those are the important ones.
Lots of other little improvements and fixes and stuff. Every time I use it, there's new things which, and honestly, I really do appreciate the balance that you strike as well between adding features while keeping it kind of simple, minimalist sort of experience. Because too many features, it becomes like Explore, and I like the simplicity of it. So, but I know that's not easy to do. So
it's a challenge.
Yeah.
We actually got a question which I was about to ask.
Oh, that's a good sign, is it?
Yeah, it seems like chat is very good today. So we got a question from Jungle Jolt Narratives. Very fancy name. So, hi, could you share the key...
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Narratives, you've just given birth to a healthy baby. Have you got any ideas for a name that you might be considering? Yeah, we've been thinking about Jungle Jolt. Okay, yeah, sure. You do you.
Yeah.
Good question, though.
Yeah, so I will just repeat it out loud so everyone here. So could you share the key difference between the Drilldown Apps and Explore, and any tips for using Drilldown Apps with OpenTelemetry? I
will start with the OpenTelemetry bit because I feel like we already covered a bit of the Drilldown versus Explore. But that's the neat thing. You don't really have to do anything special with OpenTelemetry or Drilldown to take advantage of it. They're pretty aware of each other, and we're becoming more and more opinionated about how we should handle OTel data by the day. So it's only going to get better, and you really don't have to do anything other than send your data to a Grafana database in OTel format.
Nice.
And then as it relates to the key differences, I think to repeat, it's really, if you want to write a query, use Explore. If you don't want to write a query, use Drilldown. And I see them as, more compatible with each other, more complementary with each other, and less of, I'm going to use one or the other. I think you can use both.
Nice. And when it comes to OpenTelemetry, the Drilldown app is compatible to show all these metrics, logs, either if someone uses the native OTel or also with our Grafana Alloy. Is it correct?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
It is correct. It's actually how I send all of my data to Grafana. It's all at OTel. It works really well. So we dog food it too. I think that's another key component to how we work. Is I think each one of us are very passionate about observability, and we dog food it ourselves. So we know when something isn't working quite as well as we want it to.
Yeah. Cool. Folks, we are actually a little bit run out of time. We are over 2 minutes, and so I don't see any more questions here. So we can wrap it up for this August session.
It went really. I mean, I hate to say it, but that went so quickly, didn't it?
Yep. I didn't get to heckle Matt as much as I wanted, so there's that.
Yeah.
Next time.
You managed to get one dig in, which I won't forget. But
I did right at the beginning too.
Yeah. Straight out of the gate. It was good.
You're welcome to the chat next time, Andrew.
Honestly, the hate gets a lot of clicks.
It's all with love.
Yeah. It's all love, really.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, then because there is one other Grafana live session is already in place, so we can close this one. But yeah, thanks again, everyone, for joining in, especially for the folks in comments. And thank you to our special guest who explained this Drilldown apps very nicely and show us some amazing features. And as always, you can always join our Grafana Campfire Community, which happens every month. So next month, we will probably see each other again. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Now just smile like while the music plays at the end. You just have to do that.